Before we begin, thank you very much to JM Autobot for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. It looks like we came a little bit short of unlocking the Beast Wars reviews, but we're very close. I have no doubt we're going to hit that point. Thank you, everyone, for supporting and literally being what keeps the channel going. I wanted to do another one of these concept art videos because they seem to be pretty popular when I do them, and they just get weirder and weirder the more I look at all of this concept art. And the more I dig up, the more obscure it gets. So I'm going to do a couple of them. Then we're going to start off, later on, we're going to do G1 characters and what they almost look like. So we'll go look, so things like this is Action Master Optimus Prime in the original concept for Action Masters, which would have seen their weapons turn into a little bit of armor for them, including a beast helmet. So we're going to get into that later, but we're going to start off 2022 the weirdest way I can, and we're going to look at G1 concepts that never made it out at all. They are just left to design art, and that's as far as they got. And there's some extremely bizarre ones in this batch. So before we begin, let me thank my friend over at TF Raw for providing all of this material. A lot of this is not on tfraw.com yet. It's been shared through his social medias and YouTube channels or Twitter handles, which I will link in the description below. Go check him out at Walrus Law. It's a weird name. It's a weird Twitter handle to get a whole bunch of archival Transformer development material, but it's a really cool archive that he's created. So go check him out. So let's see. We're going to start off rather tame, I feel, and we're just going to get into some, kind of figures that never really happened. It seems that Takara really did want to get some kind of naval thing going on with Transformers, because let's be honest, there aren't too many boats. So what happened to all the potential boat formers? Never got off the ground. So here we have a battleship, which seems pretty rudimentary in design and stylings, but he actually looks pretty cool. I like him well enough. And then we have an aircraft carrier. Not a fan of the colors or the flat front. Like that one definitely could have been redone a little bit more, I feel. And then we have a big tanker, which there's guns on it, but it looks like the ships you'd see in Deadliest Catch. It looks like a fishing vessel. Again, a little bit more rudimentary. It's G1, so what do you expect? He's kind of a more neutral design. I'm much more. I think the battleship had a lot more credit to it. So, unfortunately, we never got anything like that. So, this is just, vehicles they never used. What about, bizarre concepts? Like duocons that actually work. Now, these are these are pretty small images. I apologize for that, so I will compensate where I can. Don't make any jokes over that statement. So, it works similar to the duocons that we saw. I can't identify what the vehicle on this bottom one is. Seems to be a tank. It looks like there's a barrel under there, and obviously a jet on top. So this might actually be flywheels before he made it to the final production stage. Kind of hard to tell on these. And then, okay, so yeah, so this is Battle Trap. So helicopter and truck. Okay, so we recognize these. They went through a few modifications. However, we had some more going on. I have no context on this one. I probably should have asked. But yeah, this one you can see definitely a very different take. A little bit asymmetrical. Very, very different take. And then another duocon, which seems to be a jet and a van. Which I know that one because I actually have the alt mode pictures. Okay, so it's a helicopter and a van. Docking. You can see this definitely was a duocon design. Admittedly, I'm not even sure. This was just in the duocon section, so I assume it is a duocon. It's a very different one if it is. But this one just seems like pretty bog standard for the duocon. Other than the fact that the helicopter combines to the top, but it looks like he ends up being just a backpack for the van. I don't know. This kind of looks like a weird Autobot duocon. If they this feels like this is what an Autobot duocon would look like if the Autobots got duocons. And usually back then, if one side got a gimmick, so did the other side. The clones, for instance, had Autobot and Decepticon counterparts, Target Masters and Headmasters, Power Masters, etc. It was kind of weird. Duocons is one of those rare ones where there was none. So this would have been cool if it was an Autobot one, but that's just me speculating. Let's get into some really oddball stuff. Like, how about a Ravage that turns into a cassette? Not a audio cassette, a video cassette. I guess this is the natural evolution to Soundwave if he's going to go from, one piece of technology to another. So, I don't... A tape recorder or a tape deck, you could see lying around anywhere just playing music. A VCR being randomly laying around, that's a little bit harder to get by with. That's a little bit harder to sell as an alt mode is that someone would actually use for some form of espionage. But it almost happened. Well, it didn't almost happen. Apparently this one didn't make it very far at all. Nor did this. This is Rodimus Prime as a credit card. Now, I do think they did some kind of weird transforming gift card back, I think, when the 2007 movie came out. But, this is kind of the predecessor of that. It's just a super flat transformer. And probably more articulate than the original Rodimus Prime. Let's be honest here. Again, bizarre, right? Bizarre. And I'm saving, remember, you got to know I'm saving the most bizarre stuff for last. This is just a warm-up act. If we're getting to flat Rodimus, what awaits us? How about Hasbro's, or Takara rather, their own take on a Rock Lord? So, I guess if Rock Lords have taken off, they were prepared. We saw in a previous video the fossil formers that were fossilized creatures buried in ice or fossilized bones buried in rock, etc. This one, pure Rock Lord, though it looks like it works a little bit of headmastering in as well. That little tiny crystal inside plugging into the rock in order to form the head, or coming out of the rock as it were. It's a weird concept. I mean, transforming rocks in general is a weird concept, but then you throw in the headmaster part of it too, making it like a gem that's hidden inside the rock. Okay, you've got an odd you've actually out-weirded GoBots here. Congratulations. But the Rock Lords did not take off on either shore, so I guess they never felt the need to develop this one. Kind of unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen a Takara version of a Rock Lord just to see how it turned out. This is a weird one. And it's not weird for anything that you will spot right off the bat, because it's just a small figure and a very large figure. And the large figure actually looks pretty nice. It does have a pretty standard jet mode, so no real surprises yet. And then the minifigure has this vehicle mode. Okay, looks fine. And then it has this kind of Brainmaster style gimmick where it goes into the chest and apparently pilots the giant robot. What's weird about it is if you look at this robot mode of this car, you will notice it's not actually a robot mode. It is humanoid. There's actual human parts here. You can see sculpted pecs, hair. He has ridges in his thighs. You can see his kneecaps even. They intentionally drew this to be a human character that was apparently in a transformer body of some kind. And what makes this weird to me is back in the mid-'80s, there was another cartoon on TV called Turbo Teen, which, through the most convoluted plot you could imagine, the titular teen could metamorph into his car. And that was apparently how they went on adventures, with his friends riding inside him, because that's not creepy. What's creepy here is that this vehicle is almost spot on the same model car used in Turbo Teen, the same design. There's a few details off, and the one in Turbo Teen's a convertible, not a hardtop. But you're dealing with a Transformer in the 80s. It would have to be a hardtop to actually have enough room to transform it. It's weird to me because that vehicle mode is so close to the one in Turbo Teen, and it turns into a human character with actual human details. Why? It does feel like something they would intentionally design for it, but apparently there's no proof that there's any connection to that. There is nothing like saying like there's any kind of inspiration or if it was made for Turbo Teen, like they were concepting a toy for it because hey, transforming. No. Apparently we have no context, we have no explanation for it. It's just like super bizarre. Super bizarre. And it's something to think about. This I absolutely love. So in the 80s, they were starting to figure out that they could make a toy react to what was going on a TV screen in order to affect the toy in some way, usually using light reflections. So essentially, it kind of works the same way that the old Nintendo Zapper gun worked. The TV would flash a certain color, and that would transmit, or at least it would give the toy that you're holding some indication of what is happening on screen and where it is, where this toy is pointing in relation to it. In America, we had Captain Power did it. In Japan, they had Kamen Rider Black's transformation belt. Here, it was going to be a full-fledged Transformer with a game. So this would have been a VHS cassette-based game. So we have 3 stages here. So the first stage is to transform. So the toy would actually be able to tell if you transform it in time before the one on the screen is done transforming. So that's how you earn points, is by getting the toy transformed quickly enough. The second stage is attacking. You actually shoot the Decepticons on the screen just like the NES Zapper, and it will trace where you're pointing on the screen the exact same way the Zapper did. And now, and then you have the evaluation where you get to see how many points, which doesn't go below a C. So anytime you think the American school system is a little bit lenient, Rodimus Prime will let you score 0 and still gives you a C. You still pass. And the robot itself would actually display the points. The one below it on the far right is the interesting one to me because it shows Galvatron attacking, and you actually have to block the sensor on the toy to protect it from damage. So there's another aspect to the battle stage that I think is really cool. Also, this is just a really cool Transformer. And I love the look of this thing. The vehicle mode looks super cool. It's yellow and green, but it's not close enough to Springer for me to mistake it. It's got the blaster mode, which is, rudimentary, but yeah, fine, whatever. And I love this robot mode design. It looks like something that would be perfect for Blur. This semi-Bumblebee-esque head with a body that is very, very much G1 Blur. Like, you could if something like this was better known, this is absolutely something Fun Pub or Generation Selects would do with the Blur toy. Hey, the Studio Series 86 Blur has nothing better to do outside of just being shattered glass. Here's a perfectly viable design. Do it. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I need Grim Locamus on the phone. Paint this for me. So, yeah, this I think is like the biggest loss, because this actually would have been super cool. I would have played with this thing to death. Here's my favorite. So, what is presumably a Decepticon, because I can't believe any Autobot would ever do this. It's a Transformer with a gun. And not just like, not a transforming gun. I didn't see any robot mode pictures of what the gun would look like transformed. No. No, it's just a Magnum plugged into the back of a robot, taking the place of its head. This is so weird. And here's a weird thing. It works in the tank mode too. It forms the barrel of the tank. It's the dumbest thing. Oh my god. And again, like, I couldn't see, like, through any of these designs, I couldn't tell if there was any kind of transformation element. Maybe the handle folds away in this mode to fit inside the tank. I don't know. It's just the dumbest looking thing. It's a freaking revolver sticking out of the top of a Transformer. I don't know who thought of this. Who would think of this? I swear, there's something in the cherry blossoms in Japan. Like, once a year, they just get a contact high from something that just lasts all year round. Best I can figure. This is like, this is peak. Like, what the hell? Like, I love stuff like this. I love stuff like this. I absolutely see why I didn't make it off the design table. But, oh my god, this would have been hilarious if it did. If that actually existed. We're going to get into a few familiar territories before we get done here. So we've got a different pretender concept here. They tried a lot of different concepts for pretenders, and we'll get into more of those the next time I look at concept art. But this one was fascinating to me because it seems like like for starters, the outer shell is a Roman statue. So let's get that out of the way. It's not pretending, it's pretending to be a statue here. But it looks like, by the diagram, it looks like inserting the sword into the hand is what was supposed to trigger the shell's removal to reveal the inner robot, which is a cool looking inner robot. But cooler still, it turns into a centaur. Like, that's awesome. Like, that I would have absolutely bought as a kid. I would have been all about that. Doesn't seem to have any actual beast or vehicle mode besides that. It's just the armor flies off for the gimmick, and then it folds down those back legs and becomes the centaur. It's a bizarre... I mean, I guess any pretender concept is bizarre, but this one in particular. I saw a few others that we're going to get to next time. Again, actually, we've got one more. Spoiler alert. But, yeah, they had some weird ideas for pretenders. Here's another one that's very Battle Beast styling. So you have this inner robot that is not a robot. This kind of tucks away into this translucent shell. You can kind of see him just kind of riding inside like an iron lung on legs. And then this thing opens up to let him out, and then the weapons convert into this to basically make the shell into an attack drone. And then you just get this Battle Beast figure with your, Transformer pretender shell. Again, this one I would not have been all over. This just seems dumb. The inner robot being like completely organic and not being a robot at all, and not having an alt mode itself is really, really weird. It just seems like an attempt to put Battle Beasts closer to Transformers, is what it feels like. And it doesn't have some of the usual trappings of a Battle Beast figure, but you can see where the influence comes from. This, yeah, like I said, Pretenders got weird. Oh, let's get weirder. Let's get even weirder. So here we have another Pretender concept. We have the outer robot. We have the outer armor on the side, right? Okay, that's fine. And then we have all of this, and where it's been removed. And Pretenders had that. They had the removable armor pieces, the helmets, the belts, etc. Okay, that's expected. What is not expected is having to remove the skin. So apparently at one stage, this toy was not going to have an inner robot at all, technically. At some point, you take the armor off of the outer shell and then remove the skin to create the robot. So all of this is a separate piece that somehow would fold on. They were doing a lot of these concepts involved much softer plastics that were flexible and stretchable. This would have horrified me. I to have a toy where to have a toy action figure where I have to rip the skin off of it. That's creepy. It's super creepy. And I know there are Terminator toys back then that did that. That's in the 90s. But a little bit gentler in the 80s. We there was nothing like that around. This is just weird. And again, there doesn't seem to be any transformation to it. This just seems to be what more can we do with the Pretender concept? Now I think I've saved the best for last. And the best for last is going to be familiar and also incredibly bizarre. So, you know how everyone thinks that Gao Gaigar was the series that created symmetrical docking? Well, there's a Brave series that did side-by-side docking before that. I can't remember which one offhand, but it was an original idea. But the idea existed apparently in the 80s because we have this monstrosity. So apparently at one time, duocons were not just like a top and bottom thing, they were a side-to-side thing. And they weren't just two robots, it was going to be a beast and a vehicle. And you get this horrific, like genuinely like terrifying combination. I can't even tell where like the right half of the vehicle goes in this, because this all seems to be left half kibble. I suppose the entirety of the right half is in that shoulder cannon. This is just so weird. No individual robots. It is just two pieces into one, just like the duocons, except it's side by side and completely the wrong aesthetic. And someone really liked it because they went for two. Here's a bison that also combines with a jet. And like, I love the size disparity here. So like, you got this like super skinny jet side on his left, and then on the right side, super buff Rob Liefeld chest, somewhat normal arm and leg, big ol' foot, just a massive foot for no reason whatsoever. It looks like half of the bulk of the bison goes into the foot for some reason. This was so weird. This is so weird. I'm kind of happy these didn't make it, because this just looks like it would have been terrifying. Yeah, but like that's the weirdest thing I got, and like how can I top Gator Car, man? So, thank you for joining me for my first video of 2022. I hope this is a good year. Good Lord, it's going to have to try to be harder. It's going to be try very hard to be any worse. But you know what? I'm looking up, because this is a make or break year for the channel. The channel is doing better than it's ever done. I still have so many more videos that I want to do. And you guys, you keep watching, you keep sharing, you keep hitting like, you keep subscribing. So I'm going to keep on going, because it looks like you want what I got. And I still got a lot more of it. And I hope you're along for the ride. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.